Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I'm so glad to reach you from Ogeli, my beautiful city, the center of learning and grooming people for the global arena. If you know the number of people who have crossed through this town and become international citizens, you would agree with me, because one of the best schools in the world is located in this town, Government College, Ogeli. I happen to have passed through that system. So, one of the best cities in the world. I want to talk about the removal of fuel subsidy in Nigeria. Our people, the Urhobos, have a saying that if you will not pack from a town, contribute to repairing that town or taking care of it. I don't intend to run from Nigeria, even though I might need to buy a house somewhere in Europe to stay with my grandchildren if the need arises and I need to go and rest and do whatever. Fuel subsidy has been an issue of contention since the time of Goodluck Jonathan. I always get worried when the sums of money that are quoted as having been allocated to subsidy for fuel is amazing. I always ask myself, how much will it take to build new refineries to replace the old ones? How much did it cost Dangote to build one of the biggest refineries in the world? How much have we been spending on subsidy? So, if we've been spending so much on subsidy, how much will it have taken us to redesign our old refineries and make them functional? If you compute, you will discover that what we put on subsidy is enough to refurbish and reactivate our refineries. For those of you who started driving cars early enough, you will discover the kind of premium motor spirit that we use today is not as good as the one we used to drive when our refineries were functional. If you drove in those days a long distance, you will see ash come out from your exhaust. Your exhaust will be whitish. Today is no longer the same. I don't know if it is these catalytic converters that are in the exhaust ports, but in those days, your fuel cleaned your exhaust. Your spark plugs were white because of proper burning. But we've been spending so much money on subsidy, making a few individuals rich, a few corrupt people in government, in the legislative arms, and in the oil industry rich, to the detriment of the generality of Nigerians. And so, if that subsidy is not benefiting us, we should remove it from petroleum products and use it to subsidize healthcare. The average Nigerian gets $8 per annum for healthcare, while a European cow gets $2.5 daily as subsidy. So subsidy is not a bad thing. $2.5 daily as subsidy for a European cow. So in 4 days, a European cow will have $10 compared to a Nigerian whose budget for health per annum is $8. So by extrapolation, the welfare of a European cow is better than the welfare of a Nigerian in the eyes of the two different governments. So we could subsidize education like as Costa Rica did in 1890 something. They removed their military, they disbanded their military and made education free. So the literacy rate in Costa Rica is 90-something%. And all the political turbulence and escape to America from South American countries and Central American countries, drug abuse, cartels and all that, has not affected Costa Rica much because of free education that their citizenry have had since 1890 something, when they disbanded their military and decided to fund education. And so Costa Rica is a very stable country, and one of their greatest exports is brains. We can also subsidize agriculture, make food more available, make our agricultural sector more technologically advanced. One of the greatest challenges with agriculture in Nigeria is food wastages, and we could have built, we will have developed our agriculture in such a way that we have more processing plants for different units of the crops and products that we produce in agriculture. We could also have pumped that money into electricity generation, and with electricity that is regular, a lot of challenges we face today in this country will be eliminated. There will be less of malaria if electricity is regular. There will be less of hotel accommodations will be cheaper. Factories will function better. Productivity will increase. Cost of production will reduce. With electricity that is regular in this country, security will improve. Technological development will increase. Education will improve. So if we just tackled electricity alone, with all the money we've been throwing into subsidy, we will have gotten a better country. But before we talk about other areas, what if we developed a railway system that is very efficient, and with regular electricity, we could have fast trains in our cities, we could have trams that use electricity, and the traffic we have in our cities will be eliminated, tension will reduce, and we'll have a better country. So if somebody wanted to remove subsidy, let me quickly say this before I continue. No matter who was elected into office, the issue of subsidy will have cropped up. Peter Obi will have removed subsidy. Atiku will have privatized our refineries. And Tinubu decided to remove subsidy. But from what I gather from the press, subsidy removal was budgeted for around June, July. So if you wanted to remove subsidy, it should have been a gradual process. We will have waited until Dangote refinery comes on stream full blast, and we had local sources of petroleum products that people will buy at a cheaper rate, and then there will not be this scarcity and hoarding. The truth of the matter also is that we Nigerians are not good. There is enough fuel in the NNPC reserve. Just that subsidy was removed, these independent marketers capitalized on that fact and started hoarding petroleum products, frustrating the people and increasing prices of PMS, and I don't know of the other ones. PMS concerns me. So it is in our nature to exploit humanity. It is our nature to exploit ourselves. It is our nature to take advantage of every government policy and turn it to hardship for the people. Just like the currency exchange. Currency exchange, we turned it to hardship for the people. There were notes printed, people were hoarding them. They were giving them to a few rich people who were spraying them in parties. Those who got money from the bank workers sold to them, and they sold our own currency to us at higher prices. But the government of today played into the hands of the greed of Nigerians, based on the simple fact that our leaders have impunity, because most of them come into power not by the popular vote of the people, so they don't fear the people. Even the judiciary sometimes helps corrupt politicians who did not win elections to come into office. And the resultant effect is that these individuals don't have respect for the votes of the people. As long as we don't have respect for the votes of the people, either by rigging, either by the National Electoral Body collaborating with politicians and security agencies and the executive or whichever organization in the country to rig elections and put people into office contrary to the will of the people, these individuals that come into power will arrogate to themselves so much confidence that they take things for granted. Power can intoxicate when whoever grabs that power has a sense of invincibility, has a sense of I know it all, has a sense of I don't care. That was the problem with Donald Trump. Donald Trump had wealth. Donald Trump believed he had a popular vote and he had a vociferous followership. So Donald Trump dared to challenge a credible election, dared to mobilize people to invade the Capitol Hill, and dared to truncate the will of the people, and dared to do something that has never been heard of in the history of America. But my friend in America told me that the day Donald Trump's tenure expires, that a sheriff will just go there and walk him out like a common criminal. And so that's where systems work. But in Nigeria, systems don't work. The systems are designed only for the elite, to work for the elite, the most powerful and the highest bidder. I suspect, I believe that Tinubu, even if he did not say that oil subsidy was removed from the very first day of his tenure, he should have come back on air to explain to the people what he meant and then ensure that there is calm. He could have dialogued with the people before announcing the subsidy removal. But because of the way power intoxicates the average African leader, he just made that statement recklessly, carelessly, and the lunatics that want to hijack every situation in the country to cause hardship capitalized on it, and we are all suffering it. I want to ask simple questions again. I saw videos of people fighting in fuel stations. They didn't fight intertribal fights. They were fighting among themselves, most probably from the same tribe. The queues did not recognize Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa. All tribes were there. The hardship did not recognize PDP, APC, or Labour Party, or one other party. Every person suffered. The suffering of today did not recognize North, South, Muslim, Christian. Every person is suffering. The time has come, and we have nearly missed it. We must elect leaders who have humility, leaders who have mental capacity, leaders who have compassion, leaders who are considerate of the pain and suffering of their people, leaders who can communicate clearly, leaders who can consult, leaders who have capacity, leaders who can make sure that when they talk in such a way that the general population will know what they meant. I am very much afraid that we are in for a bumpy ride for the next 4 years and maybe the next 8 years. I am afraid that those who will surround the present president might not be different from those who surrounded the last one in terms of their intent and their hatred for Nigerians and their kleptomaniacal and exploitative elite capture spirit to want to make sure they milk as much as possible to themselves. The irony is that even those who were one time seen as being part of the struggle to liberate the poor man in Nigeria, once they get into office, there is a virus that pollutes their brains and distorts the computer in their brain. That's why we see media aides turn to people who defend all kinds of rubbish. That's why we see senior advocates of Nigeria that behave as if they are senior advocates of the devil. We are in for a bumpy ride, but we cannot just with that throw away the fact that subsidy removal was due. It's only the implementation, the communication, and the consultation that was faulty. I hope that President Tinubu and his team will learn from this issue, and I hope that Nigeria will be a better place to live in. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. Remember to subscribe to this channel. Remember to visit my online bookstore, petrapublications.com. Remember, I've been requesting that you send me 1-minute videos of how this channel has blessed you, and you can send messages to my WhatsApp number +234 70 52 13 6763. I want to thank you all for subscribing to this channel. I want to thank you all for sharing these posts on different platforms. I want to thank you all for the calls and the messages of encouragement and testimonies that you send. I also want to thank you all so much for the gifts that you sent to me, financial, physical gifts that you sent to me. Makes me feel very encouraged. Thank you, and God bless you. And remember to pray for the leadership of Nigeria, that God will give us a leadership that will be better than what I am seeing, what I am perceiving. I just pray God will help us. I remain your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. God bless you.